Wit Studio literally animated the steam coming off Askeladd's blood-covered blade. Why aren't they adapting Berserk? Like, what the fuck? And funny quips aside, and objective truths out of the way, I'm pretty much caught up on Vinland Saga, so what better time than on the 12 Days of Anime than to talk about one of my favorite anime of the year, Vinland Saga. So yeah, spoilers ahead for Vinland Saga's episodes, like 1 through 22. So I guess, let's do this! Jumping directly into the fire like Dokken did in the 80s, there is one character in this anime that I really, really like, and that's Askeladd. This guy has got to be one of the more complex anime characters this year. He's a brutal Viking, but also a weird, twisted father figure for Thorfinn. On top of that, you also have this dynamic with his character where you see him do these awful things like murdering men, women, and children with no second thought, but you kinda still like him enough to want to see his story played out. Askeladd is a complex and layered individual that goes beyond just bad guy, but into this territory where he's a little bit of everything. He is a good guy, he's a bad guy, he's a father figure, he's a Viking, he's a warrior, he's all of these things condensed down into this character we see in the series. I love that he's this aging man past his prime, and that story alone tells a lot. In his youth, this man traveled far and wide and has done so many things both good and bad, and is finally getting older, and thus he's starting to show that he's physically deteriorating, and there is a sense of urgency to this man. But also as well, since he's a sharp man with a lot of experience, he's brutal and ruthless, regretting nothing as to really what is there to regret. He's been a Viking for decades now, and as the story has gone on longer and longer, the story is focusing more and more on Askeladd's age and his past. It almost feels like this character is having a midlife crisis of sorts, but he's taking it on the chin rather well. One of the best scenes in this show as well involves Askeladd, and it's so powerful. I mean, most powerful scenes actually involve Askeladd, but Bjorn is dying from an infection and will not make it, and Bjorn is Askeladd's right-hand man. So Bjorn, wanting nothing more than to go out as a warrior, challenges Askeladd to a duel. Of course, we know as a viewer what this means. As they both charge, Askeladd pierces his chest but misses his vitals. Bjorn collapses and tells Askeladd that all he ever wanted was to be considered a friend to Askeladd as his dying words. Askeladd tells him that he was his friend, and then he dies. And man, the emotion in this scene really was incredible to see, truly heartbreaking, and it just tugs at your emotions and heart. And keep in mind, these people are brutal murderers. Bad people, objectively speaking. But the show makes you feel for these people because while Bjorn and Askeladd are just bad men, their story and their characters are presented in such a way that they aren't just bad guys. Bjorn is a guy who's Askeladd's most loyal follower, someone who stuck with him through thick and thin, and the way he went out was nothing short of extraordinary. Bjorn is that friend everyone wishes that they had, someone who will always have your back and stick with you no matter what. Not the fact that he's a murderer or anything, or, a Viking. A true brother or sister, even though you may not be blood related. A bond that strong. And as a person who's lost a sister, seeing Askeladd lose Bjorn was really sad and hit me pretty good in the feels. But right after Bjorn's death, Askeladd continues to egg on Thorfinn to fight him. And as a viewer, your first expectations is that Thorfinn may kill Askeladd here. The initial look he has on his face is one of defeat and he's like in a whole other world. I mean, he lost his brother, his friend, and he was the one who had to end his life. So Thorfinn tries again, but fails. It not only fails, but Askeladd beats the ever-living shit out of Thorfinn. Once again, Thorfinn fails to beat Askeladd, and once again it's for the same reasons. Though this time, Askeladd says a couple lines which are extremely important to Askeladd and Thorfinn's characters. These lines were like tactical nukes going off. I thought they were that good, and made an already unforgettable episode something truly spectacular and out of this world. Askeladd before the fight says some interesting things. He tells Thorfinn that he's useful and easy, that for the last 10 years he's been an idiot and has let Askeladd use him, and that all he has to do is give Thorfinn these one-sided duels and he'll go off and run off and even fight people like Thorkel for him, and that he has Thorfinn to thank because he's grateful that he do those things, but also he has to thank Thorfinn's father, Thor's, as well. This, of course, sends Thorfinn into a rage, stabbing madly at the ground. There is a lot to dissect from this scene, many questions we simply don't have answers to, but since you're here, for my thoughts, I'm going to try and put a theory to the way the story and their characters have been developing so far. I think that Thorfinn and Askeladd share a very complicated bond, but one that Thorfinn doesn't realize. Yet, Askeladd is fully cognizant of, yet chooses not to tell Thorfinn. I'll explain this in just a moment, but you can probably connect the dots really easily without me. I think that at this point in the story, Thorfinn doesn't realize this, but Askeladd serves as a father figure to Thorfinn. And it makes sense. After his father's death, he has basically always been traveling with Askeladd with his group of murdering psychopaths. He's even killed for Askeladd and takes orders from him now, but all for one thing, and that's always just a duel with him. Of course, Thorfinn is always losing, but here is where the fatherly undertones come to light. It's the old story of a son overcoming the father and cementing his place as a man. This is the exact story that's playing out here before our eyes. Thorfinn's road to acceptance is but one thing, and that's just defeating Askeladd in a duel, taking revenge for his father's death. But with every duel, one thing is always evident, and that's Thorfinn has been repeating the same childish mistakes here, and that's the key word, childish. Thorfinn may be a young adult at this point, but the only life he's ever known is one of pillage and murder. He hasn't had a moment to mature or blossom into anything more than a grown-up version of that vengeful child at the end of episode 4 and 5. And this is evident by the duel he has with Askeladd after Bjorn's death. Askeladd reads him like an open book, and he knows that he's staring at his throat, and he knows that calling him boy will send him into an absolute rage, which is a key feature of Thorfinn's personality as well, his anger, and he wants nothing but to see the man who murdered his father dead by his own hands. And since he's tunneled vision on this one man, this has led Thorfinn down a path in which self-reflection and growth are almost unattainable in his current state. And the only way for self-reflection here may be for Thorfinn to actually kill Askeladd. But as we know from Askeladd's backstory with killing his own father, is that even the right path for Thorfinn? Let me put it this way, would killing Askeladd solve anything? Askeladd at this point is an old man whose light is slowly burning away, moment by moment. We see Askeladd now having injuries pile upon him getting weaker and looking more rugged than his bout with Thor's 10 years prior. Would killing Askeladd send Thorfinn down that same path, and does Thorfinn want to go down that path? But as well, we have to consider Thorfinn's true moment of self-reflection, and when that may or may not come. And if it does, will Thorfinn accept Askeladd as someone who is like a father figure to him? There are many questions, but one thing is for certain, and that's the fact Askeladd is smart enough to know what's going on here. Why tell Thorfinn about this story of him killing his father if it weren't something that would sit in Thorfinn's head? And why mention Thor's and thank him as well as Thorfinn? Well, it's because Askeladd probably somehow, some way along the way, realized that their relationship is more father and son than he probably ever wanted it to be in the first place. Because of this, like a father, he tells Thorfinn to do these things, and his reward for it is a duel, which, as he loses, it spurs him on to be better and get better to get another duel out of him. He's smart, and I think that Askeladd was genuine when he said he was thankful for both of them. At this point, Thorfinn is Askeladd's right hand, as Bjorn sadly couldn't make it. Whether Thorfinn likes it or not, they're both stuck together through it all, and you'd think there is a common respect between the two 10 years later. I mean, there was a moment where Thorfinn was even willing to save Askeladd. But while we do have that story, we also have the story of Knut so far, which as well is a compelling one. We first see Knut as a shy prince to eventually become a king, but because of politics between the families, he is sent onto the battlefield to essentially be killed so that the people who sent them there will get power. On the other hand, it's the same for the people who want to see him succeed so that they themselves can take advantage of Knut. But I must say, I am really liking Knut. He's really just a gentle kind of guy who liked to cook and didn't have a taste for war or anything like that. He wants to avoid conflict, and it isn't until Ragnar is killed by Askeladd that Knut starts to awaken to his true self, the person he is meant to be, which is the eventual king. And after this, he basically ends up uniting the forces of Thorkel and Askeladd under one roof, something that vicious Vikings to become your most trusted men. The nobles either way just want Knut for his status and power, nothing more. The Vikings, of course, they just want money and to be united for a cause. And that, that's generalizing and may not be the full story, but that's mostly it for them, right? One of my favorite moments for Knut is when he asks Askeladd why he himself doesn't want to become king. And Askeladd responds that he would be a much better fit anyways. This is a big moment for Knut because here, this is where we realize as a viewer that not only is Askeladd the most important character in all of Vinland Saga and that his actions are of the utmost importance to anything that's happening, but as well that Knut's vision of a utopia where war isn't a reality is something we may get to see, as Askeladd has no interest in taking that away. Knut's simple dream is one that fascinates me greatly, because of course, true peace is impossible for the human race, and as well there will always be men and women who want to see it burn. But there's no two better men to help achieve something like that than Askeladd and Thorkel, two people who will do anything, and I mean that, anything to achieve their goals. But we will have to see. I am really eager to check out the last 2 episodes of Vinland Saga and see how this season ends. And with the rumors of season 2 already in production, I don't think this is the last we'll be seeing of Vinland Saga, and I cannot wait for that. This show proves that you can have characters which go beyond normal anime bullshit and almost transcend the medium entirely. Vinland Saga has insanely complex characters that aren't defined by one simple action or creed. They're more like real people than they are drawing and animations, and that's incredible in this day and age. So another 12 days of anime video is down. Only a couple left. We got one on Beastars and one on Bloomin' You, and then we'll be done for the 12 days of anime 2019. I can't wait for those videos to come out, but I must ask you guys, as we're nearing the end, go check out some of these creators making 12 days of anime videos, and go check out my past videos if you missed any. We've done tons of videos already over tons of pretty underrated anime that I've watched this year. So, definitely go check those out. Go on Twitter, follow the @12 Days of Anime Twitter account, and you'll get tweets just from a list of a bunch of curators making videos. So yeah, highly recommend it. It's something that I do every year, and if you got the time, why not? You may find a new content creator you enjoy. So, with that being said, check out some of these videos. If you find them interesting, make sure to like this video, subscribe and ring the bell, comment down below what are your thoughts on Vinland Saga, how excited are you for the ending of the season, and as well, if a Patreon, we're on the $1 tier and above, you get access to everything. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.